I never thought the day would come when I'd look back at everything that happened and still feel my heart race like it's happening all over again. But that night, the night I finally took revenge on the people who thought they could walk all over me, still feels like fire burning under my skin. Sometimes I replay the moment I stood there, staring straight into the eyes of the person who shattered my trust, and I wonder if I went too far. I wonder if I should have shown mercy instead of giving them exactly what they deserved. But maybe you can tell me, was I wrong for what I did? Or would you have done the same thing if you were pushed the way I was? Because this wasn't just betrayal. This wasn't just heartbreak. This was humiliation, manipulation, and a level of disrespect that no human being should ever have to swallow. And trust me when I say I snapped, I mean I snapped in a way I didn't even know I was capable of. It all started months before everything blew up, back when my life felt stable and predictable. I was living with my partner of 3 years, let's call him Daniel. To everyone else, he was charming, soft, spoken, funny in that subtle way that made people lean in closer. But to me, he was the person I thought I'd build a future with. We were saving for a place together, talking about careers, even planning a small trip to Istanbul that I'd been excited about for months. And maybe that's why what he did cut so deep, because it came from someone I trusted with every part of my life. I was working full time at a marketing firm while he was finishing a degree he kept delaying because he wasn't mentally ready. I supported him emotionally, financially, you name it. I defended him when people whispered about how a grown man shouldn't be living off his girlfriend. I told myself love meant patience, sacrifice, and understanding. God, I was stupidly loyal. Things were good, or at least I thought they were, until small changes started creeping in like shadows in the corner of the room. Daniel began hiding his phone more, turning the screen away when notifications popped up. He'd smile at random messages, but angle the phone so I couldn't see. And when I'd casually ask who he was talking to, he would brush me off with, "Just group project stuff, babe, chill." I wasn't the jealous type. Never had been, but something in my gut twisted each time he said it, and the gut never lies. One night, I came home earlier than usual after a client canceled a meeting. I didn't tell Daniel I was heading back because I figured I'd surprise him with dinner. When I walked into the apartment, the lights were dim and I could hear his voice in the bedroom. The door was slightly open. I could see his reflection through the mirror on the dresser. He was lying on the bed, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months, talking softly into his phone. And then I heard him say something that froze me in place. "Yeah, she still thinks we're good. Honestly, I'm just waiting until the semester ends. After that, I'll tell her it's over. I just need a bit more time before I dip. Dip. Dip from the life I built with him, dip from the home I paid for, dip from my heart like I was nothing more than a temporary arrangement he was tired of." And then came the part that made my vision go white. Plus, she's been paying for everything. Might as well ride it out a little longer. I don't know how long I stood there. Long enough for my hand to go numb from holding the grocery bag. Long enough for every memory, every date, every hug, every sacrifice to reel through my mind like a cruel montage. I didn't storm in. I didn't scream. I didn't even confront him. I walked away silently, placed the bag on the kitchen counter, and left the apartment. I drove around the city for hours, shaking, trying to make sense of what I heard. Part of me wanted to believe there was another explanation. But deep down, I knew exactly what was happening. I just didn't know the full extent yet. It was a message from his friend Liam that confirmed everything. Liam wasn't exactly a fan of mine, but he wasn't heartless either. He sent me a screenshot of a group chat I didn't even know existed. And in that chat, Daniel and a few of his so-called friends were talking about me, mocking me, laughing at how desperate I must be to support a man who had no intention of staying with me. One message from Daniel read, "She pays the bills and doesn't ask questions. It's not my fault she's stupid in love." I didn't feel sadness at that point. I felt rage, pure, blinding, electric rage. But what really crushed me wasn't the financial stuff. It was the part where he talked about this girl, Maya. Apparently, they'd been talking for months, venting to each other about how controlling I was, and slowly building something behind my back. And when his friends teased him about juggling two women, he proudly wrote, "Maya's the real one. I'm just waiting until everything lines up. Waiting until everything lined up." What did that even mean? I spent the next few days quietly observing, listening, reading everything I could without him suspecting. I needed to understand the whole picture before making any move. That's when I discovered that Daniel hadn't just been cheating emotionally. He had been meeting her regularly. And worst of all, he had been using my money to take her out. Restaurants, gifts, even an Airbnb at one point. The betrayal hit me in layers, each deeper than the last. The moment that broke me wasn't the cheating. It wasn't even the lies. It was when I overheard him telling his friend on the phone that he wanted to kick me out of the apartment I paid for. He said, "Once she leaves for that business trip next week, I'll pack her stuff and tell her it's over when she gets back. I'm not trying to deal with drama face to face." He wasn't even planning to break up with me in person. He wanted to throw my life into boxes like I was trash. That was the night I decided I would not be the victim. I would not be the one crying on the floor while he moved on happily with the woman he replaced me with. If he was planning to dip, I would make sure he ran, because what I had in mind wasn't just revenge. It was poetic justice. Before I go any further, I want you to think about this. Imagine giving someone everything, your time, your energy, your trust, only for them to mock you behind your back and plan their escape while using your hard-earned money to date someone else. Imagine finding out your partner saw you as a bank account and nothing more. So that's the situation I was in, standing at a crossroads with a decision to make. Before I tell you what I did next, I want you to pause for a second and tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Because my next move changed everything. All right, here's what happened next. Instead of confronting him, I started preparing. I made copies of all the financial transactions. I changed the passwords to every account that had my name on it. I spoke to the landlord privately and explained the situation. Turns out, the lease was solely under my name. Daniel had no legal claim to the place whatsoever. And then, the final step, I waited for the perfect moment. The day came sooner than I expected. Daniel told me he had a late study session and wouldn't be home until after midnight. But I knew exactly where he was going, so I let him leave, waited an hour, and then drove straight to the restaurant he took her to, using my money, of course. I didn't go inside. I just watched them sit there, laughing, flirting, touching hands across the table. Something inside me snapped, but not in a reckless way, in a focused way, a calculated way. I went back home, packed all of his belongings into garbage bags, not neatly, not respectfully, but exactly the way his actions deserved. I left the bags outside the apartment door, locked the door from the inside, and then I canceled every single subscription, card, and payment method he relied on. Phone plan canceled, Netflix gone, Spotify gone, the extra credit card under my account he secretly used disabled, the bank transfer he depended on every month cut off. And then, the final blow, I left a printed copy of the group chat screenshots on the kitchen table with a sticky note that simply said, "Hope it was worth it." When he came home later that night and realized he was locked out, he banged on the door for nearly an hour. I didn't open it. I didn't say a word. I simply sat there, listening to him slowly shift from anger to panic. The next morning, he tried calling me, except he couldn't because I had already removed him from the phone plan. He tried emailing me, blocked. He tried messaging me through mutual friends, ignored. I erased him from my life the same way he was planning to erase me, except I did it with dignity. The aftermath was satisfying, to say the least. His friends turned on him the moment the truth came out. Maya found out he was using her too, lying to her about money, bragging about manipulating me. She blocked him everywhere. He ended up sleeping on a friend's couch for weeks because no one else wanted to deal with his drama. And me, I moved on, I focused on myself, I healed, and I became stronger in ways I never thought possible. Sometimes people ask me if I regret it, if maybe I should have handled it differently, but the truth is, I didn't destroy anything that wasn't already rotten. I simply pulled the curtain back and let the world see who he truly was, so that's my story. And if you've stuck with me until the end, here's what I'll say. Liking someone doesn't mean you have to let them walk all over you. Love should never require you to sacrifice your self-respect. If someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. If you were on my side through all of this, like this video, if you want more stories like this, twists, betrayal, revenge, everything, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in this situation? I'll see you all in the next story.